everyone else in chat, welcome, and let's get with it. So, the biggest update that I saw, if you were curious or haven't been checking on the news, is that it looks like Majority Leader John Thune, so the GOP Senate leader, the GOP Senate Majority Leader, said that there's comments that he has open brief comments he opened the Senate this week. Um, don't push it. So it doesn't sound like there is a deal, like, or anything. However, is this the step in the right direction? Yes. Now, here are some things that I would like to say is the issue. As much as I want to be like, awesome, I can stop doing this stream, which I think I'm going to still do this stream just at different times. As much as I would like to believe that the shutdown will end soon, it's really, really hard to end the shutdown. The biggest reason is one, like, the military today still got, or not today, but on the 1st of this month got paid, which I'm not saying that that's a reason why you don't open the government back up. I'm just saying that gives you less political pressures because the government or the military is still getting paid, so they can still perform their basic functioning duties. The House, I haven't seen any news of the House opening back up for session. So if the GOP leaders do pass something this week that isn't just the CR that is currently happening, then the House needs to open back up, and who knows if the House is going to sign up for it and come back into session. And then the biggest thing for me that I'm kind of like thinking about here is like there has been no like real comments after this comment. Now this is a new comment, and so maybe when we check our other news sources, like CNN or other news sources, for real, Hampig, that maybe they'll talk more about, maybe there's more updates and lingerings. But the biggest issue is that if we looked at, there was, so this morning, Trump just literally said, with Senate Democrats now voting 13 times against reopening the government, insisting they need Trump and Republicans to negotiate them. Trump said to Republican leaders they should change the Senate rules and scrap the filibuster. So, yes, I heard about that, and we're gonna go through that headlines too. But just to kind of quickly tie the bow on this, because I do want to hit on that Hampig really well. I just think that even if the GOP leader is optimistic, it doesn't mean anything because, the president doesn't really think that it's their problem. And, between us, Hampig, I mean, the world is still kind of revolving, right? Trump's still going. The SecDef, I've been following his Instagram, is traveling through all of Asia. He just met in Vietnam this week to kind of renegotiate and talk about bilateral agreements between them. And it's really hard to see urgency of the government reopening. Another reason why I don't think there's not that much urgency is that. So I don't know if that's the right one. We can use this one here at first. But yeah, so yesterday I did notice that a judge really did say, hey, you can't not fund SNAP. It's always been funded. And it's ridiculous for you not to fund SNAP, even though they have actual money to fund. I don't know if I can find anything else. Maybe if CNN has one regarding it. No. A lot of people are discussing it, but it's... I was talking to one of my friends today, and I think it's Drumstick I was talking to. Yeah. And he talked about how there was like a Hank Green episode or video that came out about interviewing someone who works in SNAP and the impacts of it. And they said out of their like 20-something years of working at SNAP, they've never seen an administration not try to fund SNAP. Like, giving people money to get food? Yeah, we're just, like, that seems like a political suicide to not give people, like, money to eat food. Like, in a larger context, it is absolutely ridiculous that as the wealthiest nation in the world, we have people that still go hungry. So SNAP is just something that's like, hey, like, we're the richest country in the world, and it's kind of ridiculous that we can't feed the population in our little bubble here. So, but another thing too that's so interesting is like, you know, this is a major legal test. Basically, the legal system said like they're checking the powers of the president, right? So the president is trying to make more and more ever expansive decisions about the U.S. government, and this is the federal court saying, no, you don't have that much power. So it's a unique way to see, like, you know, from here, and then if we pull the thread a little bit, furloughing employees during a shutdown, that's been paused. You could see that, you know, President Trump's like grasp of like trying to use the shutdown to re-engineer the U.S. government is not going to plan. It's not doing as hot as you'd think it would. So, yeah, I think it's like a very big, it's a very big thing to talk about, especially that the whole reason for SNAP is to feed Americans. And if we don't want to fund feeding Americans, it looks crazy, right? And I'm not saying this is a particularly left or right issue, right? Like, I want you to think about like your political views do not matter when it comes to food stamps, right? If you need food stamps, they'll give you money for food stamps. And people who need food stamps aren't necessarily left or right, Democrat or Republican. They're just people who just don't have money or in a hard place. And a big thing that I would love to, like, someone to talk about that I read an article on CNN yesterday, but like air traffic controllers, people who are literally keeping the sky safe, are dependent on SNAP being funded because they can't legitimately buy food anymore because they've been working with now 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks without pay. So they already missed one paycheck. And, if you ordered your money enough, like just like basic thoughts, right? Like, okay, you get two paychecks, a paycheck every 2 weeks. So maybe one paycheck is dedicated to food, shelter, water. But you missed one. So, okay, are you going to save the money to pay rent then? Are you going to saving money to buy food? Save money to pay gas? Like, what is it? And we're about to hit, I think this week is the second paycheck people will miss. Like, I know personally for me, this will be the first paycheck I would miss. So it is kind of insane that we're kind of extending the shutdown this long here. So that's something I just wanted to talk about here. In AP News, let's see. A new one just came out. Congressional Hispanic Caucus launches efforts to overhaul ICE. This is urban warfare. This is doing is unacceptable. The caucus includes all Hispanic Democrats in Congress. Framework alongside Hispanic Federation and other advocacy to restore accountability, protect civil rights, and ensure that no community lives are in fear of those who have sworn to serve them. Interesting. I mean, that's great. I think, in terms of like, I'm not a politically savvy guy here, but it's like, does the government really have enough money or have enough political willpower to overhaul ICE? I think the people would like to overhaul ICE, right? I think unlike in states like Texas where ICE has kind of worked under the radar because we have such an open policy here in Texas to allow ICE to continue the operations, where it's severe clashes in like Los Angeles or Chicago, Seattle, Portland. I think this has a lot of political sway. I don't think it's enough, nor I don't think the Republican Party will put it to vote or anything. And, I think the Democrats kind of used a lot of their political capital to get healthcare funding during this shutdown, which I don't even know is going to or not going to happen. So, I think as a random man, a great way to overhaul ICE is to have ICE agents wear body cams and release the day. So they finished out their 8-hour shift to post that 8-hour video unaltered to a public website that anyone can view. Because, ICE agents are federal agents, and if they're not working on something that is incredibly sensitive, like if they're patrolling the streets, then maybe if they're doing investigations like internal, like into their in their headquarters, they need to they're trying to stop a human trafficker, and they're gonna do this and this. Yeah, maybe you don't record that, but them on the streets executing arrests and searches, that should be recorded. Like, we have a huge push, and now it's the gold standard for police departments to have body cams. I don't understand why federal agents aren't on that same, level of stringency when it comes to accountability and transparency. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. It's something to think about. Like, if you work for the people and you're a very public figure, you should be okay with um, being recorded. And I don't buy the argument of people saying, well, like, they need to protect their identities because they're serving for the government. It's like, you protect, yeah, they're going crazy. But, like, protecting what identities of these workers, right? Like, yes, they should be protected, but it's kind of a weird fallacy to think about that because, when you work for the U.S. government, you have given up your entire identity and privacy to the U.S. government to monitor you as you do your work. So, in order to be a more transparent government, they should really do stuff like that. Agree with body cam aspect, but some operations could be sensitive. Thoughts? I can see that. Like, I see an argument where you wouldn't want to. You don't want operations to leak, right? So operational security, you don't want operations to leak. You don't want people to learn their tactics and skill sets and, like, how they conduct arrest warrants or how they do patrols. I get that. I think a lot of times, we can dig into the details. Some people think that some details that we should really dig into is really focused on, hey, maybe we should only do body cameras when they're executing a warrant, right? So if they're gathering intelligence, we shouldn't be sensitive to that. But that is kind of, weird because you would want to know how the U.S. government is spying on you, right? Because we have an innate sense of privacy, detailed in many Supreme Court cases that the right to privacy does exist. It's just not clearly stated. And our Ninth Amendment, that more amendments exist than the amendments within there are more rights exist than the rights listed here in the Bill of Rights. So I agree that some can be sensitive. So, like, obviously I don't want them. A big issue, though, I understand, is, like, let's say you're conducting a traffic stop and you're getting recorded, right? And, like, let's say that person's like, I don't want to be public. So that's something that I completely understand, right? Like, cameras innately capture things that may or may not be sensitive, right? Like, especially, like, to a human's face, to like your license plate numbers, like and that's why a lot of people say, like, there's a lot of institutional framework hurdles to get body cams published because you got to ensure that all the PII, right, personally identifiable information, is all scrubbed from those videos before they get posted onto some public platform or released to the news sources. But one, I think that you can hire a team that's dedicated to scrubbing PII. I don't think it's something that you can't do. It's just more money, yeah, but it's, like, for transparency purposes. Two, 99, I just got stopped recently, right? And, the police officer came up to me and they said literally, like, hey, I'm going to record you. This is going to be used for government purposes and maybe released to the public. Like, are you clear to consent to it? Like, that is a clear use, consent law. And I think in certain states, like, I think Massachusetts is a two-way consent if someone in Massachusetts is on this on this stream. But it's one of those things where you can just ask for consent. And if they say no, I'm not clearing you to be consent for you to have that video be released, then you take it right then and there. Okay, fine. We don't have to release this. This will be used. This will be cataloged as you have actively said on camera to not release this to the public. I think there's ways to go around it. Operations in and of themselves, they serve the American people, and the American people have the right to know certain operations. And they're not working specific missions that are a detriment to national security, right? I don't believe that federal agents raiding a warehouse full of undocumented immigrants is the same as, like, the DOD protecting the homeland or protecting military or embassies, right? The DOD and DOS protecting embassies. Like, those are two very different scopes, right? Like, one is within the United States, looking on how that works. And I'm not asking for them to expose their ways and means. I'm asking them to demonstrate how, when they're executing in public, how they're doing it, and if it's done with, reasonable, right? And it's one of those things, Handpig, that it's also like, yeah, you don't want to leak a lot of operational security stuff, but don't you want to build better relationships with your community where they can help you find bad people? Like, that's how people should be viewing. I myself do not believe in mass deportations and how ICE is handling everything. I genuinely believe that's like a really bad thing. But if we had to have ICE and had to enforce immigration standards, it's one of those things where I'll sit and say, like, if we're gonna do this, they should do everything they can to get buy-in from the community and not just, no badges, no camera, no nothing, and go into a community and pull people out. Like, that's secret police stuff. Like, right? That's stuff that we've seen other governments do, and that most of their country is very bad, right? Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where, like, I completely understand if, the idea of immigration and custom enforcement is you don't want legitimate bad actors. Like, I'm a North Korean spy, I'm gonna come into the United States to plant a dirty bomb in Los Angeles. Like, that's something that people think. Like, yeah, we can all agree on that. We don't want somebody to, like, a random person to come into the United States and plant dirty bombs because they hate Americans. Like, that's something we all can agree on. But I think to build that relationship, they really need to work on promoting that transparency, right? And that's what President Trump ran on in his campaign in 2024 is like, we need to increase transparency in the government. And let's pull that thread. It doesn't seem like he hasn't been being transparent. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein files haven't been transparent. A lot of the bureaucratic decision making of shutdowns, furloughs haven't been really transparent. There is a news article, I think, that talked about this. If not here, it might be in CNN. There's so much more stuff I want to talk about, but there's a news article talking about how federal judges are basically considering the use of force, right? Not this. This is the use of force of, like, deploying National Guard troops into cities, but how they're doing the international water killings of random boats in the Pacific and Atlantic. I would deem them as random because I have no context of who they are. The U.S. government hasn't released, here are the profiles, here's the names. I'm not asking about how they collected that information, but if you have proof, like, hey, these are the people that we've killed, these are the people this is exactly what they're working on, here's proof, that's you know what I'm saying? So it's like building that relationship and trust is something that is up to the U.S. government to do, and I don't think they're doing a great job, even though this administration's ran on to that fact of we need to increase transparency. But great question, though, Handpig. And something I did want to talk about a lot, and it's all over CNN, right? So this is like how much money people are spending, which I think is so bad. But it's just like the detriment of our political system that you need to spend more to win an election, which is kind of interesting. But what's super interesting here is that November 4th is tomorrow. And I would like to tell chat that because it's November 4th is tomorrow, major things may happen. This is a first general election quiz on does the United States appreciate or like how the administration is handling themselves? If so, more people like the administration will be voted into office. If not, people like Mamdani in New York would be elected and would show a great rebuke of how the administration's handling federal policies. Can you touch on auto-pen statuses of judges and pardons that were signed? Yeah. Sure. If you have a specific article, Handpig, you can drop it in chat, and I'll click and read through it and kind of give you my thoughts and opinions. But there is some very big news, like very big elections happening. For me in San Antonio, my biggest one is, does the San Antonio people want to fund a multi-billion-dollar, multi-year-long project to expand the San Antonio Spurs stadium, and like the play area in downtown. A lot of people say they shouldn't. We should. I don't really know. I think it's a good idea and it'll boost the economy, and it's good for new jobs. However, I also know that we haven't finished a construction project in like 5 years. So, what good does it do if we're going to start new construction projects when the current ones in downtown San Antonio, the interstate systems all around San Antonio, have been under construction for 5+ years with very little to no advancements, right? Like, and it's not due to anyone's fault. It's just like the red tape required to get these construction projects completed. That's something that I wanted to talk about. I swear CNN had a. Yeah, okay, we can read it here. Candidates are hitting the campaign trails today as voters prepare to head to the polls set to. Our test for Donald Trump and the Democrats looking to oppose him. Trump will participate in a tele rally in Virginia and one in New Jersey tonight. Yeah, here are the key races. I'm going to click on this. CNN probably is going to figure out what the best key races are. So, yeah, the New York City mayor. There's the New York City mayor. The New Jersey governor, it looks like Hudson. Across the Hudson River, voters are traditionally a blue state in New Jersey. Will plan to replace him or term a limited-term Democratic governor Phil Murphy. Amid tax hikes and soaring utility costs, affordability is taking center stage. Jack Carl, the Republican who endorsed by Trump and praised by the president's performance, praised the president's performance, has sought to localize the race, pitching himself as the Jersey guy. New Jersey has typically leaned blue, but Citarelli came close in winning in 2021. The state shifted hard Trump in 2024. He just lost by 6 percentage points after 16 in 2020. So the New Jersey governor, we see the Virginia governor. I think the Virginia governor is 2 women, right? It's 2 women that are running it, but it's gonna either flip red or blue. Utility cost is like a primary concern, which is great, right? Because you, me, and everybody else here has basically like our biggest voting reason is like, why does it cost me so much money now to go buy eggs? Why does it cost me so much money to run AC in 100-degree heat in Texas? So utility cost makes sense. California has the redistricting proposition up, so should they be able to redraw their House congressional seats? Some people say no, some people say yes. I believe the argument of, we shouldn't do it because we don't want to stoop to their level is a very bad argument, because that just means that you're going to lose no matter what, right? Like, we shouldn't do it and we should just keep the House seats that we're doing. But 3 other states have or are trying to redraw state maps in their favor of the Republican Party. So if the Democrats in California don't want to do it because of that, I think that's a kind of a weak argument, right? Pennsylvania voters must determine to keep 3 Democratic members of the state Supreme Court. Okay, that's interesting. House election. Yes, I heard about this. The former mayor of Houston, then congressman, passed away recently, and so there is a yeah, so there is, I don't know what the impact is, but there is a special election in Houston. So if you're in Houston, please go vote. Those are the big ones. But in San Antonio here, it's should we or should we not fund the new construction work of the San Antonio Spurs Arena? The answer is I don't really know. I did want to talk about this too. It looks like that Reuters said that they are going to fill it. They're going to, yeah, so a Rhode Island federal judge said that they need to use emergency funds to partially cover November's bill of SNAP. So something that international markets are listening to. Let's see, some tariff news. Looks like so this is the interesting one. And I'm not an economist, but this one here is saying that manufacturing contracted for an 8th straight month. So, like, the U.S. manufacturing jobs have decreased, even though these tariffs that President Trump is claiming is going to bring jobs back haven't been working. Now, economics suck because I know like one economic policy will take 3 to 4 years to see the ramifications or impacts. Um, but it's 8 months into October, right? So at least most of the year when Trump got into the White House and started implementing their policies, we have still not seen any kind of change to manufacturing jobs. Which, um, if you think about it in long term, right? Like, if I'm just a normal person in a Rust Belt state, right, who needs manufacturing jobs because that's what I knew all my life, and I voted for President Trump because I would like to know, I want to get my manufacturing jobs back. It's been 8 months and I still haven't gotten my job back. That is devastating, right? And if you saw over the weekend, a lot of people are talking about how a lot of people are talking about how layoffs just occurred. So Amazon just laid off 30,000 people. I know Paramount laid off 1,000 people. Like, the economy is looking really bad, even though everybody is saying it's going great. The economy is booming than ever. Like, the Dow Jones is down half a percentage point, but we have also just seen 50,000 people lose their jobs in a week, right? With over 1 million U.S. federal employees missing their first paychecks already. Not 1 million, like 3 million. Like, yeah, tons of Americans missing their paychecks. So I don't know how good our economy is, especially there's so many warnings about how, there's a lot of sway and stuff, or there's a lot of like tea leaves reading that the government is not doing so hot. OpenAI turns to Amazon in a $38 billion cloud service deal after restructuring. So more OpenAI stuff. If you bought stocks in Amazon, you got a boost in stocks. That's cool. This restructuring means 100,000 NVIDIA graphics cards to process and train and run its artificial intelligence models. This is super interesting because Amazon doesn't inherently... when I think of Amazon, I think of AWS. So it's like you can rent out hardware. So seeing that OpenAI has agreed for a 7-year, $38 billion deal to buy Amazon infrastructure, I think is kind of a bigger process of this AI bubble. Because OpenAI is like, we're going to need more servers. So let's go to Amazon. Amazon is hiking up everybody's prices because they can't get enough graphics cards. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so, well, what are you going to do, So Amazon also desperately needed this. It looks bad. This might have been completely coincidental, but it's coincidental that their AWS One Gov Cloud, or AWS One Cloud, whatever it's called, their cloud literally shut down like last week or 2 weeks ago, and now they got a $38 billion deal, kind of smoothing everything over. Like, hey guys, don't worry about the fact that most of the United States infrastructure depends on AWS cloud, and we can't get it 100% right. And if not 100% right, at least redundant enough to ensure that none of these apps or applications are going to fail on us. So it's something to think about more. Tesla sued by family who said faulty door led to wrongful death crashes. U.S. becomes the first country to export 10 million tons of LNG. I think LNG is natural gas. Liquefied natural gas, yes, in a single month. That's interesting. Never knew that we're exporting gas. I know there was an AP article that I read recently. I don't know if it's soon here. Microsoft has shipped 60,000 NVIDIA AI chips to the UAE. So Washington, or the the Commerce Departments of Washington was able to approve of this deal, which is interesting because I guess Trump made a remarks yesterday that in 60 Minutes saying that they will not ship these out to our allies or anyone else. We're going to keep these here in the U.S. But, something that I would like for people to think about and talk about how interesting that is. So let's look at this report here from Hampig. And let's see what we're messing with, what we're talking about here. So, former President Joe Biden experienced cognitive decline while in office remains a serious question. Via auto pin, a GOP, blah, 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 blah. The committee deems void President Biden's executive actions that were signed using auto pin. The committee determines that the action by the Justice Department warrants an address to legal consequences of the termination. So, this is a oversight committee writing their final attributions, trying to void the auto pin. Okay. So, authorize and use of auto pin. Democrats ranking member said it's a sham investigation. Every White House official testified President Biden fully executed his duty as president. And Ariel's Biden aides defended the process that had place for using auto pin, stated firmly that it was Biden who made his own decisions. The letter specifically asked Justice Department to further investigate three top Biden White House aides who invoked the Fifth Amendment and refused to testify. Words that after Biden's disastrous debate performance, he recommended that O'Connor conduct a full medical work, including a condom exam. O'Connor said he would take the suggestion under advisement. There's no conspiracy, no cover-up. Co-authored by Tapper and Axios, document how Biden and his closest family forged ahead with former doomed 2024 election bid, despite signs of not. Okay, there's a lot of words, Handpig. Lots and lots of words here. Oh my God, it's a long article. I should really read more out of the article. 96% of that in the last 3 months or 20 days of his presidency. Then the president declared the communications were going nonviolent at drug offenders, but according to the Justice Department, emails obtained by the committee, Justice Department ethics attorney Bradley Ryan wrote to the Biden White House staff, "I think you should stop saying that because it's untrue or at least misleading." So, so something to think about here is, the use of auto pin, which, as you can see, it's like political, right? Like, oh, he used an auto pin, so he wasn't actually signing anything. It was just like his aides or someone saying, Biden, do this, and have it signed. I would like to kind of challenge the assumption of the use of auto pins here, just because I've experienced senior leaders in either private or public sectors. An auto pin isn't that deep, in my personal opinion. Now, the ramifications are deep, right? The ramifications of if the House is finding that these are all void and the Justice Department says that we cannot enforce these pardons, and Trump says something, or the Congress, if the Supreme Court comes back and says, yes, the president cannot pardon these people because they used auto pin, that's a whole different story. And it may come down to that, Handpig. I don't know. I don't know how deep the rabbit hole they want to join. I think this conversation is very confusing, and I wish we had our lawyer friend. And at 7 o'clock, we will have Jaden on the stream with me, so we might be able to ask him this. But this is how I would view it, right? It's like most senior leaders don't have time to read everything, and so sometimes they do sign things off blind. But that's not just senior leaders. I'm talking about you, the average viewer, does not read the terms and conditions of every single thing you buy or software you use, and you just hit the accept button, I accept all, whatever, blah, 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 because I just need to use the gosh darn product, or I need to get off to this thing. That's why I personally don't believe the auto pin's that deep, but it is a political issue that Trump's trying to use to win more voters or to gain more traction, because it's one of those things that is easy. Like, oh, he didn't sign these by hand. He got somebody to have an auto pin sign them. So it's not, he didn't actually sign off on them. But does that really matter is the better question, right? Like, did he have knowledge of it? It seems like it, right? Like, he did have knowledge that they're using auto pin, right? But did he want to do that? It looks like he did. He's like told people that. It's one of those things where I don't know if it's really important, but what is important, though, is that if they do throw away all these pardons, especially at least a pardon like his son, pardoning his son, which, although maybe in the grand scheme of things to protect him from persecution, is legally kind of questionable, right? Like, oh, you're pardoning your own son. That's you should really let that up to someone else to do that kind of pardoning, because that's a little too close to home, like, ethically speaking. But what I'm trying to say is it's the fact that we're like the president has the ability to pardon whoever he wants, and I have not seen any conflicting reports of Biden saying that he didn't want to have the auto pin signed. Like at least everyone agrees that he did want them signed. It's the matter of fact that he didn't sign it physically instead of having a computer sign it. But my thing about this is that if the government voids them, then it's for the first time in ever, I think, that we just said, oh, what he did in office doesn't count because he wasn't signing them physically, which is a very strange requirement to require the president to physically sign things, right? I need to read more about this, right, Handpig? But it's one of those things where it's an interesting thing to think about, especially the use of auto pens makes sense when you want to commute thousands of people, but you can't, right? Unless you want to write a very vague, overbroad act that says, I'm going to commute everybody who had this, so on and so forth. And I think, yeah, broad pardoning is something that is very unique. And, I was going to say, I recommend all my fans and viewers out there to watch The West Wing. It's like a 2000s like drama about working in the White House at the West Wing. Very good. And they have a whole episode in the first season talking about pardoning. Like, should I pardon someone? And broad pardoning is crazy. And I think former President Biden did kind of set up this idea that presidents can just broadly pardon people, which is or isn't good, right? And why it's so interesting or bad is because we shouldn't be just saying I'm the president, I'm going to pardon these people, who cares? It needs to be very rigorous, or, every president is just going to show up and pardon whoever they want to pardon. And I think that's something we should definitely ask my lawyer friend what he thinks. He probably can't give his actual professional opinion, but he can give his law school opinion on what he thinks it is. But a thing, so it talked a lot about how should we do broad pardonings, right? So, it's one of those interesting things, but it sets up bad precedent. Now, President Trump came into office and he pardoned everybody under the January 6th riots, even though they've all been federally found to have committed some kind of damage and property to the U.S. federal government. But they've been pardoned because that's a broad pardon. I think there's a lot of things to pull there, Handpig, that people should kind of sit and take their time to dig into and think about, in my opinion. But I say but so loudly because I don't think that the auto pen is as important as the government is still shut down after 30 something days, that people may or may not get food stamps and all. But what it does say is that there's long issues with parts of the Constitution that allow presidents to pardon people, and that needs to be revisited and re-looked at. And I think it's something that is worth talking about and discussing. Looks like AP got a new update, so let's see what this says. Disney asked YouTube TV to bring back ABC back for Election Day. Bitter carriage dispute between Disney and YouTube TV has left customers and Google live streaming platform without channels like ABC or ESPN. YouTube TV maintained that Disney was proposing terms that would be too costly for its subscribers, while Disney said that the streamer had refused to pay fair rates. Okay, so it looks like if you have YouTube TV, you can't be watching ABC or your Sunday football. So it's something that is sad and interesting. Russia says its forces advances into the ruins of Pokrovsk. Ukraine says defenders hold on. It's really sad. The war in Russia and Ukraine is still ongoing. And it looks like there's tides that are moving forward, especially quickly trying to move forward before the Russian winter lands, because the Russian winter is no joke. Let's see. Powerful 6.3 quake kills 20 people in Afghanistan, injured hundreds. Afghanistan, Pakistan have been hit by spates of quakes in recent years. So that's really sad, right? So that's something that's going on. Hunger monitor confirms famine in the Darfur al-Fashir and one other city. I think it's in Sudan. Which so last week we talked about there is possible, there isn't like possible, probably confirmed reports of genocide happening in Sudan. And I think I saw this recently on AP News. Let me see. Or maybe I didn't. But Trump made a discussion like, hey, I'm going to start working on trying to end the suffering in Sudan, is what President Trump said, which kind of continues this narrative if he's going to go around the world and fixing things, which I don't know if you believe that is a good and bad thing. It depends on how you feel on it. But it's more fuel to the fire of what's going on in Sudan, which is something that, I think if people are interested in, I would definitely love to do like a 1 hour segment in my late night podcast show called the Insomnia Hour. It's not a podcast. It's just me streaming at night. But I could actually do deep dives on like a topic or an article where I want to learn something, but I don't have time to learn it during the day. And so I'll take a day to learn it and then at night report on what I learned. Kind of like school. Ugh. Big congratulations to Dodgers. The LA Dodgers are now back-to-back World Series champions by Reuters, which is, I completely forgot. I watched most of the game, or at least I was on a bar crawl when the game happened. So it was kind of awesome to see the LA Dodgers. Very shockingly, though, I think the third or fourth inning, maybe it was the fifth inning, I don't know. But very early in the game, they pulled Ohtani off of the pitcher mound because he wasn't performing so well. And I think he gave up 3 runs. So, little interesting to see Ohtani kind of be shaken there, but it don't matter. Dodgers still won. So go Dodgers! Congratulations to them. Oh, the U.S. is preparing for a military staging ground near Venezuela. Okay. So I guess there has been Caribbean bases that the U.S. government has been working on to build up. For a possible land invasion of Venezuela, which I would just like to say, awful idea. We do not need to go to war. We need to focus on fixing the economy, building back trust in the U.S. government, and bringing our country out of this weird internal domestic chaos instead of go to war. A lot of people say that war may be the only way to fix the economy. I don't think so. I think there is non-war ways to fix the economy. But it looks like there's a whole article, if you're interested, by Reuters that talks about how they're kind of setting up the stage for a possible invasion into Venezuela. So that's awesome. Not awesome. That awesome as in, oh my God. That is kind of scary to think about. I think that's kind of all the contents I kind of want to talk about today. Let's see if CNN reported anything new that I wanted to talk about. Let's go back one here. Let's see. Musk urges New Yorkers to vote for Cuomo in the mayoral race, which makes sense. Elon Musk is a billionaire. Mamdani is basically going to say, I'm going to tax all billionaires. It's not a surprise that Cuomo took a weird stance saying that, we're not going to tax the billionaires. We should not raise taxes on New Yorkers. But it's most New Yorkers aren't billionaires. Frankly, I don't think most New Yorkers are millionaires either. I think most New Yorkers are just average day people who just can't afford to pay $8 worth of eggs every day. So, okay, so food stamps are partially funded this month. So they're going to use the $450 million unused tariff to keep the WIC food assistance programs afloat. So that's something to note. So they're going to use money from the unused tariff revenue, separate from using their contingency funding. So, it says, no, I'm sorry. I misread that. Cut that. It will provide partial food stamp benefits by tapping into the contingency fund and shifting $450 million unused tariff revenues to keep it afloat. Makes sense. They can shift money around, which is, I just would like to say that shifting money is unprecedented. Congress has the power to obligate funds and color money in ways how the government should be using it, but this is unprecedented. See, and this is what I was telling you guys in the past. I don't think the Senate Um, the House is going to open back up if the Senate comes up with any new deals. Um, the White House isn't taking a stance with negotiating, even though Senator Thune said that there's probable talks happening, or saying that don't talk about it, like we're working it. No filibuster. So I just wanted to talk about this. We're not going to We're not going to remove the filibuster, is what people said, because Trump said we should get rid of the filibuster. That's insane, by the way. So that is insane because during the Obama administration, and I think during Trump 1, when Republicans were in the minority, they used the filibuster to get their policies into amendment bills and laws that were passed by Congress. So getting rid of the filibuster is a slippery slope, because let's say they get rid of the filibuster and they do whatever they want, and then they lose the midterms. That means President Trump is literally shot himself in the foot, because the Democrats are going to have, if the Democrats flip it by 51-48, 51-49, then the Democrats are just going to pass whatever bills that they want and not care what the Republicans have to say, even though there's a Republican president. So makes sense that they're not trying to get rid of the filibuster, because that is really bad juju, in my personal opinion. Flight delays. New polling says 61% of Americans disapprove Trump's handling of the shutdown, according to a CNN poll. I have to say it because we live in an age where I have to say it. CNN is a left-leaning news source, not left like ultra-left. I mean left as in like maybe centrist left. So CNN polls, take it or leave it. Maybe CNN people who pick up the phone to listen or to elicit the polls are maybe Democrat-leaning or Democrats themselves. But people are saying that Trump is mishandling the shutdown. From what I understand, I'm talking to people like outside of all of this with actual government workers. I think nobody cares whose fault it is. I think everybody cares about get your shit done. It's stop doing all this and let's actually get stuff done. This is ridiculous that we wasted. We're on the 34th day of a shutdown with no end in sight, purely because nobody wants to just kind of do the hard, dirty work. There are a lot of conversations over the weekend. Hopefully we'll bring a desired result. But if we don't start seeing some progress or evidence of that by at least the middle of this week, it's hard to see how we would finish anything by the end of the week. And I think that if we have to be objective here, to try and get something, we would send it back to the House that would reopen up the government. So if they're going to reopen the House, we have to wait until Speaker Johnson says the House is back in session, which a litany of things need to happen, right? Like we need to first confirm the new senator in Arizona. We need to get everybody back into the House, and the Epstein files are probably gonna have to get onto the floor. So it's all these random things that they're needing to deal with in order to get the House done. So crazy. Pelosi won't announce her redistricting. Thune insists that votes aren't there to abolish the filibuster, despite Trump's push to end the 60-vote threshold. And then Hakeem Jeffries thinks that Democrats are going to win a lot in the Tuesday's elections. So with that, that's kind of all the news I'm here to talk about. Oh, actually, I didn't even check Axios. But it looks like they're going to talk about the same things. Democrats outspend GOP in elections on Tuesday. Supreme Court decides the fate of Trump's tariffs. Let's see. It looks like so he used emergency powers to bypass Congress to declare tariffs is interesting. And he used the international emergency economic powers. An appellate court struck down the tariffs in August. How judges ruled them. Complexity and what they come next. The majority have said that Trump's IEEPA tariffs were illegal, but for different reasons. 4 said that the law doesn't authorize tariffs, while 3 others said that the tariffs in question would not be imposed under law. Interesting. So it looks like we're going to see how tariffs are. Take care, Hempig. Nice talking to you. Looks like we're going to see if Trump can actually declare all these tariffs without kind of using Congress. Anthropology says cloud models show signs of interest. Oh, what? Did you just sign off, Hempig? Did you read that? Anthropic says cloud models show signs of introspections. tell Access that the most advanced systems are learning not to just reason like humans, but also reflect and express how they actually think. Okay, so oh, welcome to the stream, Jaden. Yes, it will be. I guess cloud models are introspective, which we're reaching closer to the singularity where AI is going to think for themselves. Does that make me panic? A lot, but it's okay. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, or maybe they overstated how introspective they are. Um, so just start wearing your tinfoil hats, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Democrats are losing faith in their party and its leaders, far outpacing Republicans who have doubts about the GOP. Yeah, I think this one was kind of known in 2024 when Trump won the presidency. So I don't know why people are like, "Oh, we just noticed this." Like, it's been a year. Everyone has noticed this. At least in a Gen Z perspective, most Gen Zers and early, like super late millennials, but really Gen Zers and Gen Alphas, because Gen Zers are until what? Gen Alphas are about to graduate this year, so like, yeah, I think a lot of people have been very disconnected with the base. Staffing shortages and air travel. So I think the government's shut down to at least December now, in my personal opinion. I don't think that's true. A lot of my friends have been saying that the government's going to shut down till at least maybe the end of next week, but that's crazy because I don't know how they're going to open the government. I mean, Speaker Johnson doesn't want to open the House back up, so I don't know how this is all going to work out. Broader recession possible without more rate cuts is what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said. I don't know if I could read this without subscribing to more. For as much as the economy is actually going close to 4% by some estimates, the administration continues to use the specter of economic weakness to lean on the Federal Reserve to cut more and faster, which causes a lot of issues because if you cut more rates without ensuring that the government if you have people borrow too much money, then you get into this weird issue of like, okay, but how does everyone pay their money back? Because it can't just disappear. Which I see that. Powering the U.S. mobile networks through the lead to lead in the global tech race. That's pretty cool. I like this idea of how do we must lead in 6G? Jesus, I can't believe we're on 6G and AI. So there's some Axios topics that are kind of in the headlines here, but with that, think that's the end of me talking about headlines. It was like an hour-long headlines right there, just kind of yapping about stuff. News of the day recap as we wait for Jaden. Awesome. Yeah, so let's talk about headlines. So election day is tomorrow. So we're gonna start with CNN. Election day is tomorrow. Very important. If you can vote, go vote. I did not register to vote. That is on me. I thought that when I registered last year, it would continue to this year. I'm so stupid. If you do live in San Antonio, the biggest thing that I've seen traction on in terms of voting is the proposition to kind of expand the Spurs Stadium. Or not Spurs Stadium, but basically kind of revamp the downtown district to be like a more Spurs like contractual element. It's always good. It's always good to vote for those things. There's been good discussions, both yes and no for it. So if you do or don't want to do it, just vote. Please vote. Go vote. So yeah, some elections that people are looking. Virginia is looking at. Let's see. Found that Democrat. Okay, so it's Virginia statewide races. There's tons of races that are going on, but the biggest one is I know that's the governor race, so the gubernatorial race, as people like to call it. So that's happening in Virginia. So if you're in Virginia, please let's go vote. It looks like currently the Democratic candidate is in the lead over the Republicans. Okay, cool. A New Jersey governor is also in the gubernatorial race. So it looks like that the Democrats are currently at a 50% before the 45%. I don't really believe in polling. I mean, actually, I do believe in polling. Polling is really I've taken a whole class about or didn't take a whole class. I had a professor mentor me who did polling. Fantastic professor. I think they've changed a lot of their methodologies to kind of be more accurate. However, polling is polling. What really matters is you going out to vote. It doesn't matter what the polls say. What matters is your voice, your vote. The very hotly, indubitably contested New York City mayoral race. So this one, Democrat Zohan Mondamni with a double-digit lead over Andrew Cuomo. We did see in the 3 o'clock running of headlines that in the New York City mayoral race, Andrew Cuomo did get backed by Elon Musk. Now, how much does that actually impact the New York City race? We'll just see tomorrow. But it seems that Zohran Mamdani has a double-digit lead. So we'll see if anything changes or if that polling data is bad. But that's an important one. And the biggest one that CNN is tracking is the California redistricting. Let's see. So a CBS YouGov found that 62% of voters are in support of Proposition 50. Proposition 50 is the redistricting of California to gain more blue seats instead of red seats. If you want to pull the thread about this, Texas in July, part of their special sessions, even though my camera's a little out of focus there, but in July, a lot of in this July special elections, a special House session in the state Congress, Texas passed the redistricting map that kind of added, I think they calculated 3 or 4 more seats. Since then, multiple states on both sides are kind of pushing their constituents to pass redistricting maps in like middle of the year, because usually it's not bicentennial, but it's basically every 10 years they redistrict, but this is the first time that people are trying to do it like in the middle of the 10-year cycle. California is probably a big point of contention because although Republican states have a lot more leeway and strength, there has been a lot of divide on if Democrats should force Democratic strongholds to vote to redistrict. So we'll see what that turns out. But I think if California does win the redistricting map, I think we're going to see all over the United States, everyone's going to redraw their maps, which kind of ends up as a net zero. But it has to be all done in the right amount of time and quick and not be challenged by federal court cases. So, I think it's one of those things where I think everyone's going to do it and then just nothing happened. Like, okay. But that said, if Democrats don't win this redistricting proposition and people don't push for it and there's like a stronger sentiment for the Democrats not doing it, I mean, I think it's just the Democrats will just be behind in the race. It is awkward. And I talked about it at my 3 o'clock session, Moses, but I definitely talked about how I don't like the argument of, we shouldn't stoop to their level, because you've already given they've already have more votes. They're going to use your moral ground against you because they're already doing it. In some cases, like in North Carolina, when they talk about it in their session of Congress, pretty blatant about redrawing their maps. Hello. Is that Jaden?
Hello.
Hello. Let me see if I can invite you.
I haven't launched just yet.
Yay. Somebody named Harper Morgan 138 just said, I've been really enjoying your streaming. It's been a great vibe so far. Thank you.
Thanks, Harper Morgan.
Is that Morgan?
I don't think so.
But we're going through headlines if you just want to kind of comment as I do headlines. I'm just, as you spin up, and then once you start streaming, I'll co-stream with you, and then we can get onto Battlefield.
Just to make sure my settings and stuff are good.
Yeah. So, as that goes on, bipartisan group of 4 House lawmakers share framework for a potential deal on healthcare subsidies. So, a small bipartisan group of House lawmakers announced an outline for a potential agreement The statement principles for the four House lawmakers would include 2-year extensions of the subsidies, an income cap between 200,000 and 400,000 for eligibility, and guardrails to prevent improper payments. So I guess there is a small coalition in the House and a small coalition in the Senate saying that it's going to be, they're trying to end the shutdown. Here's my thing. Battlefield 6, the video game. I don't think the shutdown's going to be ended this week unless Trump or Speaker Johnson comes out and is like, you know what? We are going to start compromising with the Democrats, which I think November 4th, tomorrow after the votes, once we get to see kind of the outcome of that, I think there's going to be more room for compromising, whether it be Democrats give up ground because they lose a lot of their elections, or the Republicans give up ground because they lose a lot of their elections. Like, it just one or the other. There is also a third option where they equally both lose or both win, and therefore the shutdown just continues. But it's like we're going to week 5 of no paying of TSA workers is insane. You know? So.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I'm like the military already got paid, but the military has a lot of excess funding, and you know, at some point you're gonna have to not be able to pay them. I don't know, and TSA workers are gonna just stop showing up because it's like, I can't get on food stamps because we're gonna only partially fund it, so I can only afford certain amounts of food. So I'm gonna not show up to work and do other jobs so I can get food on the table. It's like, what's going on, you know? So it's kind of scary there. Some VCU senators back Spanberg for Virginia governor. Pelosi says Trump is the worst thing on the face of the earth. California Democratic Republican Representative Nancy Pelosi on Monday castigated? I don't know how to say that word. I'm bad at English. President Donald Trump as a vile creature who is the worst thing on the face of the earth. Cool. That happened. Food stamps are going to be partially funded. So on the 3 o'clock stream, we talked about them. Trump administration said it will be providing partial food stamp benefits for November by tapping into the program's contingency fund. This will not see payments immediately. It comes after a federal judge ruling in Rhode Island last week. So I'm going to click on this because I wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit. So I know Speaker Johnson said this morning at our 3 o'clock show, there's an AP News article, if I can even find it. He literally said, well, if we're having to pay, he said, it's not as easy as pressing go, send on a computer. Johnson stood by his previous assessment that Trump administration was unable to release contingency funds to ensure food aid kept flowing over the weekend. Made sense to me, he said during the morning press conference at the Capitol. Now the courts have ruled that SNAP must be released. He said that the Trump administration is waiting directions on how to do that. So one of my friends talked to me when we had lunch today saying that there's a Hank Green video, which if I can go find, or if somebody finds, please drop it in the chat, of Hank Green interviewing someone that was a director of a regional program for SNAP. And they said, yeah, I've been working for 20 years, and every government shutdown, even if the government has no money, we still fund SNAP. This is the first time they've recognized that, oh, wow, we're just not going to fund this program? That's crazy. No one has ever done that before. And what's, really brutal is, these programs are the same programs that government workers who are furloughed depend on because they literally have no income. So it's just mind-boggling to me. But I'm curious to see what the judge ruling is. I wonder if they have an immediate explanation.
I'm so excited to read that case, bro.
Yeah, right? So it says, there is no doubt that the contingency funds are appropriated funds that are without a doubt necessary to carry out the program's operation, U.S. District Judge John McConnell in Rhode Island said. The shutdown of the government through funding does not do away with SNAP. It just does away with the funding of it. Blah, blah, blah. There is no doubt, and it's beyond argument, that irreparable harm will begin to occur if it hasn't already occurred, and the terror it has caused some people about the availability of funding for food for their families. He basically, but he wrote that the USDA should, within its discretion, find additional funds to provide full benefits to recipients. If the agency chooses this option, it must make full payments by the end of Monday, as making the full payment is simpler than calculating partial payments. In his ruling, McConnell also responded directly to Trump's comments Friday, writing, "The court greatly appreciates the president's quick and definitive response to this court order and his desire to provide the necessary SNAP funding." So it looks like tonight, I guess sometime today when we go after we do some Battlefield 6 streaming, there should be a directive by the SNAP agencies, which was going to be leaked to the press, obviously, of us actually doing, actually getting guidance on how SNAP is going to be implemented. So if there isn't, then that is bad, you know? Kind of crazy that it takes... It's crazy that this political time period, we're willing to not feed Americans when we're the wealthiest nation in the world for a political point. That's just me. I think I started a co-chat with us. Or a co-stream with us, so... hello.
Did you knock on my thing or what?
I don't know. Did I?
Let me go into it and figure it out. I launched the game.
You did? Okay, cool. I'll make some...
Whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Yeah. I don't know how to knock on you. How do I knock with you? Yeah, that is true. I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, you know, I say we're the wealthiest nation in the world. I also actively recognize that, like, I don't know. I keep hearing these numbers. I don't have a definitive way of checking these numbers. I've heard like 30% of the stock market or top wealth in the United States is produced by like 1% of people. So it's definitely not equal. We are the richest nation, but it doesn't mean that we're equal. And I 100% agree with you. So I'm very sure about that. So I'm excited for Jaden to read that someday and discuss to me. Let's see, any other news sources? So YouTube TV responds to Disney's Election Day request. Amidst their ongoing carriage dispute, YouTube TV says that Disney's request to temporarily bring ABC back to its platform on Election Day would cause further customer confusion, and instead proposing that the entertainment giants agrees to immediately restore both ABC and ESPN while the two sides continue negotiations. Oh, so I guess YouTube TV can't support Disney channels like Disney and of that. Yes, I heard the Spurs lost for the first time. Yeah, that made me sad. I was very sad when I heard about that. Yeah. What is up? I think I got you in. Yes, the Spurs are 5-1 now, right? Let's see. Is there any news articles on Reuters? If not, I'm gonna go check that. I'm pretty sure the Spurs are 5-1 right now.
What's up, Blame Me 5?
So, I guess those are all the biggest news cases today. Arkansas, I guess I just wanted to let you know that Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee is approved a deployment of more National Guard members to D.C., so we'll see what happens there. It's just interesting because there's tons of federal cases talking about the legality of deploying other National Guard troops to areas that aren't in their purview, even if they're federalized, because does he have the actual pretext to submit? But who knows? Yeah, so that is it. Anything else, chat, that we want to talk about, or any news articles we want to discuss before we hop on to Battlefield 6 gameplay with Jaden? Looks good to me. Looks good. Other than oh yeah, the Spurs lost. Oh my God, the Spurs lost yesterday, and I was really sad. I heard about this. Their first loss But I think the Spurs is a team that is playoff ready. I think we're gonna finally see the light when the Spurs go to the playoffs, which is so sexy because I just am so excited to live in a city again, where their sports teams actually are very exciting and nationally competitive. The last time was when I was in Boston, but I don't know. I feel bad saying Boston because it's like a dynasty there. Boston. So
Huge.
Spurs losing is not true. Oh, is that what you saw on the web? My fault. Yeah, we could end the night with just a little news update. Let's see if anything is interesting on the news side here. It's just a lot of people saying go vote. So if you are a person that is registered to vote, go vote. If you're not registered to vote, tell your friends who can to vote. I don't know if you can register right now.
Yeah, you can. But next time.
What's a pox? Senator Kennedy warns of pox on both parties if shutdown drags on. Senator John Kennedy says he doesn't.
Chickenpox? He's gonna spread it?
I was not gonna lie, guys. I genuinely thought that. I was like, are we talking about?
He's re-releasing that shit. He's like, I'm sending it out again, y'all.
Oh my goodness!
Unless you support me. Unless you back me, then
the job of the senator is not to advance good ideas. The job of the senator is to kill bad ideas. I don't know what this means, but it says the longer this goes, the more likely it is American people to say pox on both of our houses. I think pox means we are bad. I don't know. It's a strange use of language and words, you know? So, it doesn't look like there's any new updates I wanted to talk about. But tomorrow's stream's going to be at 10 p.m. We're going to do the Insomnia Hour podcast. I'll start with Battlefield 6. So somebody in this chat, eater. I don't know why I said eater, and I'm pointing to no one. So that my friend Nikhil and I can play a little bit of Battlefield. But we're going to do a 30-minute segment of reading the news and seeing what everyone's going. We're probably going to be able to talk about election results because it would be the end of voting. And then we'll probably do a 30-minute segment of learning something new. I don't know what I'm going to learn yet. I'll figure it out tomorrow, what I'm going to learn.
Japanese.
I don't know if I want to learn Japanese on stream for 30 minutes, but we can. And then we'll end the night with 1 or 2 more Battlefield 6 gameplay. I would like to also, let's see, not to show sensitive content on my
NSFW.
That's not what I was saying. So because of everybody's stream, for everybody's like nice, adding me or giving me money or following me, I have made a lot of money. By a lot, I mean, I think I got like $20, guys. That's a lot of money.
Whoa.
Oh shoot! I'm getting paid out. Yay!
Let's go.
I'm telling you guys.
Income. Let's go.
This may be the new sense, and I have a new YouTube channel. Let me pull it up for you guys. Actually, hold on. Let me do it on this channel here because I don't want to accidentally pull up my personal YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel here, clipping just headlines. But if I think tomorrow,
Flow launcher.
Huh?
The thing you use to launch your apps quickly, is that the Flow launcher?
Launch my apps quickly? No, I use. What do you mean?
Like when you is that a Mac thing? I don't know. When you pulled up a search bar in the middle of your screen.
Oh, this here. This is Arc browser. Oh, I would love to be sponsored by Arc. I know Arc doesn't do sponsorships because I think they're an open source company. But it's the new way of browsing, Nikhil. I highly recommend, if you haven't used Arc, please use Arc. I'm able to separate tabs, like my global tab, and then this is my streaming space, so I know exactly what streams I'm using, and it does the middle tab, and it's super nice. Yeah, it's super
looks
sweet.
nice UI wise.
Right? So I'm trying to see
it's
how.
Called Arc browser.
Arc browser, dude. Yes, check it out. It's free on all platforms, so you gotta just check it out.
Sounds like you're sponsored. You sound sponsored.
It's free on all platforms. I've been using it for like 2 years, so I just would like to say, like, as one of those people who, hasn't gotten a sponsorship yet. I will not be sponsored by anybody until I vet them personally and I actually use their products. So like, if you're Pringles featuring the hot ones, that's the sponsorship I'm looking for. If you're,
how about that Saudi Aramco deal coming up?
what's Saudi Aramco? What are you talking about?
The Saudi oil.
Oh my God, yeah, Saudi. I do drive a Tesla, which may or may not be useful or not. So I guess if Tesla wants to sponsor me, what else? What else am I sponsored by?
Sponsor, come on, bro.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what? I will actively tell my fans that I'm to go eat Buffalo Wild Wings if it means I'll get $1 off of my wings. I don't care if it's ripping everybody else off. If nobody likes it, I would kill for Buffalo Wild Wings.
Probably $1 off your wings. It's crazy.
Just $1 off my wings, right? It's
so cheap.
Wait, hold on. Go back to CNN real quick. Trump backs Cuomo?
Yeah. Did you not hear about that?
No way.
Yes.
I mean, I guess he's like just anti-Mamdani.
Yeah, so everybody's anti-Mamdani. This is why, right? Because obviously New York City is too Republican or too Democrat. So like a Republican's not going to win. But Mamdani is so like anti-Trump that Trump and the MAGA party.
Enemy is my friend.
Yeah, the MAGA party is really trying to support them instead of anything else. And so that's why. So it's one of those things too, Rashab, that it's like you can see, like, this is where people say, oh, like, I hate politics because people just do politics to politics. This is it.
Yeah.
It is legitimately like Cuomo is running as a Democrat, saying that he's a strong Democrat, but is getting backed by the Republican Party and like doing Republican.
I know.
So.
I mean, Elon Musk backed Cuomo as well, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also because Mamdani has actively said he's going to, oops. Let me see. Okay. Like tax billionaires, and a lot of people are like, oh, if billionaires are being taxed, they're all going to leave New York City. I'm like, yeah, right, buddy. Go. I want to see that happen.
Hey, I want to move to New York City. Maybe they can leave and I can take over their place.
That's what I'm saying. If billionaires leave, then the cost of rent goes down because there's not enough people who are so wealthy. And I say this, like, because I'm not a billionaire. But if I'm a billionaire, first of all, I can't be a billionaire because I don't think I would have the mindset to be a billionaire. But two, like, maybe my ideas change when I'm a billionaire. Like, oh, you know what? Fuck everybody else. I'm a rich person. But
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think, I don't know. I just don't think, like, I could be a billionaire. I think my, like, ethics are too high to be a billionaire.
I would feel bad. I would feel too bad.
Right, exactly. So it's just like.
I would only feel bad if I had a Lamborghini and a couple mansions.
Drive my Lamborghini to my other Lamborghini.
Oh, interesting. An exclusive by Reuters says Trump ousts a watchdog of U.S. housing regulators involved in mortgage. Let me switch back here. In mortgage probe of his foes, sources say. I'll just read the summaries because I don't have the subscription to Reuters. The internal watchdog for the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency is being removed from his role, 4 people familiar with the matter said, at a time when the housing, and it cuts out because I can't read it. But it says Inspector General Joe Allen's removed amid political tensions. Pollute bypassed Inspector General in pursuing cases against Trump's foes. Trump administration has removed nearly 24 agency watchdogs, and U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren demands answers for the Federal Housing Finance Agency's directors pulled. So, more news about people being pulled out for political reasons instead of like job reasons. So
right. All right, I'm gonna hop off. I'll see you guys later.
Take care.
Yeah, there you go.
So I will say, as I have a little time left, I do want to look up this San Antonio Prop 50 because that's the most important thing to be voted here in San Antonio, Nikhil, is not Prop 50. What the heck? Prop A and B, which is the San Antonio Spurs expansion, right? So Proposition A turned Frostbank Center, Freeman Coliseum, and surrounding grounds into a year-round stock show and rodeo district. So if you know, Frostbank Center and the Freeman Coliseum is where the Spurs play.
It's their home turf.
To pay for both, the county wants voters' permission to use what is known as the venue tax, which is expected to produce $503 million over the next 30 years if voters agree to extend an existing tax on rental cars and increase the county's hotel tax. So not tax on citizens of San Antonio, but taxes of people who come in and use those amenities, right? Like if you live in San Antonio, you wouldn't rent a car in San Antonio. You wouldn't rent a hotel. Maybe you do. I don't know. Shit. But one of those things where, they ask you if you want to use it or not. Meanwhile, so it says Spurs owners, the San Antonio Stock and Rodeo Show, and other supporters campaign aggressively, while critics say they don't want to see public money spent on basketball arenas, including the community activist group Cops Metro Alliance and a new organization called No Project Marvel, rallying against Proposition B, but stay neutral on rodeo projects. Proposition B is a $1.3 billion Spurs arena that will move the team from the Frostbank Center to the Hemisphere Park, which is like in the middle, like south downtown. The county will only pay, so Bexar County will only pay $311 million of it. San Antonio will contribute $489 million, and the Spurs will pick up half a billion. Like they'll pay the last ones, and any overages. It says so. Like if the project lasts too long, is over budget, the Spurs will cover that risk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Proposition B is important because it's authorizing the county's $311 million. It's significant because it's the first time and perhaps the only time voters are asked to approve public dollars. City isn't legally required to ask voters' permission for its portion, though some are pushing to hold a separate vote on city money on a later date. Approving Proposition B would set in motion plans for a broader downtown sports and entertainment district known as Project Marvel, blah, 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 blah. So the people say, a lot of people are anti the project amendment because of the money can be used in better places. Like we don't need to continue funding sports arenas. I'm a little iffy on that because I think it's good to fund sports teams because it brings tourism, it brings community, and it brings a sense of unity. Like in Boston, where they have 3 major sports teams, the Boston Bruins, NHL, the Boston Red Sox, MLB, the Celtics, NBA, and technically the New England Patriots, which is about 40 minutes away.
That's basically Boston.
Like, Boston's like a cultural hub, right? Like, if you're in Boston, you can go to any of these sports games. I think I've heard a lot of people push back on it, though, Nikhil, is because of, downtown has been under construction for, 5 years, and it's still not done. And now we're adding even more construction. And it's like...
Yeah. Great.
Can we not focus on actually getting shit done? But
with Wemby coming to Spurs, that's their big focus right now is capitalizing while he's huge.
Yeah, while he's huge and while he's healthy, right? Wemby may be a LeBron, and after 2 to 3 years, he's gone. He might go travel to different teams. Well, I mean, not 2 to 3 years, but you know what I'm saying, Nikhil. He might not. He might be loyal to a team. He might just be fuck it. Right? Unlike Kobe, he was I'm in the Lakers and I'm going to stay the Lakers.
Yeah, I feel like Wemby might be like that, but only time will tell if they can build around him.
It's one of those things too, Nikhil. If I'm the mayor of San Antonio, right? And I'm thinking about my people, which I don't know why politicians would think about their people. Kidding.
True.
It's one of those things where it's okay, well, our team is doing so well, right? We're 5-1. It's a very active team. Hopefully, as the season progresses, they're playoff worthy. They get into the playoffs. That's so much more revenue. And if our politicians were in tune to what actual people in San Antonio feel, a lot of people say, "Oh, San Antonio is boring," or "Oh, San Antonio doesn't have a lot of things to do." Which, for some people, it may be true or not true. But having a full, nationally recognized and competitive team in San Antonio is a great thing to bring community and bring stuff together, right? And the Spurs aren't a team that well, I mean, I don't know if they're money hungry or anything, but they are not like known for like crazy, like they're not like the LA Rams, right? Like where they left or the LA Chargers where they left they left San Diego to go to LA because San Diego, they just want to put the middle finger to San Antonio, right? Like San Antonio Spurs is going to stay San Antonio. So I see where it's like in long term you want to make the city, you know, and it's the fastest growing city. So because of that, it's like, okay, well, if we're a fastest growing city, let's go and delve into it. Let's focus in on it, right? You know?
Yeah, let's go to the max. Let's max out.
So I don't know, Nikhil. But I understand too. Like, dude, think it's like 3 or 4 of the 5 major interstates in San Antonio are under construction. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Right? Like, sure, San Antonio is the 25th largest metropolitan in the United States, but come on, dude. Like, there's so much construction. It's barely livable. You barely could drive anywhere.
Yeah, it's not a great experience for people that live there. People that come in for sports events, sure, but like
exactly. So
you gotta let the residents be happy first.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know what the polls are saying. I think I'm curious to see if I can pull up a news article. Here's Cops Metro. Here's the people why 5 reasons to vote. No public funds for private profit. So I guess a big reason why people don't want to vote for it is that we're funding like the Spurs team, right? We're not really funding the city of San Antonio. Independent analysis first. And this is something that I have seen on local news channels, but it's like nobody did actual independent analysis of like, is it financially feasible? They just said, hey, it's a good idea. Let's go do it.
Seems a little rushed.
Yeah. Risk sits with taxpayers. Official says PFCT's hot will cover cost. But when these projects miss, the pressure shifts from the general fund to property taxpayers. Crowds out core services, long-term arena subsidies, lockup revenue, and attention that should go to essentials: police, fire, street repair, drainage, libraries, parks, workforce. History says overpromise, underdeliver. So they support Proposition B to be funded by hotel tax, hotel occupancy tax, and reinvestment tax. So it's interesting. I think they both have very good reasoning, but it's one of those things, Nikhil, that we just gotta wait and see. But I would love for it to occur. I think the money's a little shady, especially that half of the cost is going to be funded by the taxpayers.
Yeah.
When it really should be like funded 80% by Spurs and 20% by us, you know, if we really want to go all in. A 50-50 split is like a big, like, all right, we're going balls deep.
Yeah, it's a pretty big commitment from the city. Be like, hey, we're going to take all this tax money and put it into the Spurs, which not everyone watches. Or
right, and that's another thing too, not everybody watches. And I will say I am a little afraid of how they do counting in San Antonio, because San Antonio is a military city. So, you know, a lot of people may get their driver's license or whatever, and it says San Antonio, but not a lot of them are. I haven't met a lot of people in San Antonio who are like, I'm from San Antonio for 25 plus years. Like, I've met some, yeah, but in a big city like San Antonio, I don't. I hear a lot of people who move to San Antonio. But that also means that there's a lot of transplants that don't really understand the culture and the community of San Antonio, if that makes sense too, you know? Whereas I'm in Boston, right? When I was in Boston, like, tons of people have been in Boston for generations.
Their whole life. Yeah, their generations.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things to think about. To Rishabh's point, CNN says Cuomo dismisses Trump's endorsement. He's not endorsing me. He's opposing Mamdani, which I just, dude, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say, like, he's not endorsing me, but he's endorsing me, you know?
He's anti-endorsing my enemy.
It's just not like a thing. So, all right. So I think with that, I think we're gonna kind of wrap it down here. Any with the viewers watching right now, I don't know if you guys have anything to say out there in Twitch land, but Yeah, it's been fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for our first episode of the Insomnia Hour podcast, which is it's the same thing as me streaming. It's just we do it in insomniac hours. It also gives me time during Tuesday to run errands and to make some cool clips and channel trailers. So be on the lookout this week. I'm gonna try to release a channel trailer, as well as probably a video, a montage of me playing Battlefield and all the dumb reactions I have. So you want to say anything else to the viewers at home, Nikhil?
Much. I'll be back though. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's Battlefield stream.
Oh yeah.
At least a part of it this Battlefield. I'll be on.
Yeah. Definitely gonna do some news recaps. I kind of think of my news recaps, Nikhil, as have you ever watched Last Week Tonight by John Oliver?
UFC, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, like him or The Daily Show. Like I try to mimic that. I mean, I'm not funny. I'm actually not trying to be funny. I'm just reading it and giving you my opinions on it. But it's just like that.
Those guys have scripts written for them. John Oliver is not funny. His writers are funny.
Yeah, so I would like to. Yeah, so hopefully making it entertaining or digestible, right? Like what I want to do with my news segments is make it digestible for people who are like us, who like are really smart, but like, come on, man, like I'm not gonna sit and try to understand all of this political crap in like the time that I have, and also make it more relevant to Gen Zers, because I think a lot of news in mainstream media is really tied towards older folks, and it's like us as Gen Zers, we process information a little bit differently, either quickly or not so quickly. So, you know, cool.
Amen.